Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucas Thomas. I'm the Town of Fairfield Zoning Officer. We're here today on the Board of Condemnation appeal hearing for 373 Cross Highway, and it's now 3:30, and I'll have everybody going this way identify who they are that are in the room.
Sure. Cleary, Town of Fairfield Health Department.
Phil Higgins, Town of Fairfield Fire Marshal.
Sean Reed, Town of Fairfield Building Official.
Andrea Flynn, Fairfield Health Department Secretary, Recording Secretary.
Chris Taylor, representative of Ponderosa Ranch and Muddy Puddle, the subject of the complaint.
Jim Wendt, Town of Fairfield Planning Director.
Thank you, everyone. All right.
Sure. Just to present, so I'll just share some pictures that were taken this week, just to demonstrate what we're talking about. In addition, I'll just show you some. This is just from Google Maps today, and this just shows essentially. And here's the overall picture of the lot. This picture here represents about that portion of it, the lower half or so. Good. And this is the road coming in. This is not the current condition. This is probably taken a few years back, but each dot indicates the perspective of those pictures there. Gotcha. So if looking at the pictures, just to put us in the arena of what the issues that we're talking about. So when you come in the driveway and look forward from adjacent to this bridge, so for picture number 1, I'm standing right there. You look forward and you see what are several piles of building materials and 2 storage containers, one on a trailer, one not. If you switch to picture 2, that's just walking closer forward to those 2 storage containers. If you look at picture 3, that's set back a little bit. There's a wood walkway right here, and picture 3 is taken there where you'll see construction equipment and a pile of building materials. Picture 4 is a few steps forward where there's a trailer with additional building materials on it. Picture 5 is facing the bridge right here, looking at another construction trailer there. If you continue walking across the bridge, just at the last edge, you'll see there's also just some debris there off to the side. Actually that's 6. Picture number 7 is if you walk past the bridge to your right or the north side. In this area here is essentially a large pile of building materials like railroad tie type of materials and some construction equipment off to the left. Building picture 8, you'll see there's an additional trailer there and some additional equipment stored there. Photo number 9 is coming over to this area here, looking at the tracking mat with all the wood on the ground, the 2 piles that we'd seen earlier just from a different perspective, and the storage containers. Picture number 10 is just turning counterclockwise to see the back side of these piles here with additional building material. Picture number 11 is essentially going a few steps forward and turning towards the storage containers, some additional debris stored on the property. And finally, picture 12 is essentially looking back at the far corner of the property, back that way, is 3 additional piles of building materials there. So on 7/20/2020, we received a written complaint, which has been provided to you. We held a hearing on January 8th, 2021. And
Excuse me 1 second. You said the original complaint was 7/20/20?
7/20/2020. And we held a hearing on January 8th. Excuse me. We held a hearing on January 25th, 2021. In the materials provided to you, we provided the original complaint. Yep. With the certified mail number there.
I just want to make sure you have that. I want to, if you wouldn't mind just pointing it out.
So here is the original with the letter that was not claimed, but was sent to the address on file with the town, the Muddy Puddle address.
Just want to ask, Mr. Taylor, Muddy Puddle's address, is it P.O. Box 1693, Bridgeport, Connecticut?
I believe so. Bridgeport mail is horrible.
That's fine, but that's under Secretary of State's registration.
Whatever was
That's-
registered on Concord, I believe.
You-
They just changed Concord, so I'm not having used the new
Yeah, I saw
version.
that too. But if this address matches the address on Concord, you don't dispute
I
it?
have no dispute over it
Yeah.
either way. I mean, I had conversations with the fire marshal.
That's
Yeah.
fine, okay.
And
I just got it late.
I have to find notice. I
Yep.
have to find
Yeah.
that they did proper notice, so.
Yep.
Yep,
yeah.
and a later notice to this same address was signed by Mr. Taylor regarding
Okay.
the citation. So we have that. That's the notice of the hearing. We had the hearing. We determined it was blight. On March 11th, we sent a blight determination of violation to the same address. Again, that one was refused, but we did send it first class as well. And then
May I see that exhibit there?
Yep. And then Mr. Taylor did appear at the March 15th meeting, or called in at the March 15th meeting to discuss the letter that he received. After no action and sort of changing. I think some things changed on the site. Some things were removed and some things were added. At the May meeting of the, I just want to make sure I get it. At the May meeting, May 13th, we issued a citation for not complying with the order, and then that citation was appealed, and then we are here now for the hearing. So the town represents that these pictures demonstrate an excessive amount of material placed on a residential property in violation of the blight ordinance. Mr. Taylor, in some communications, has represented that the property is in the process of becoming a farm or a ranch. Is that correct? Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
being handled by Attorney Christopher Russo right now.
And so,
Fly fishing in Montana.
lucky him. Just asked Plan and Zoning Director Jim Wendt to be here just to represent the likely status of that property becoming a farm or a ranch, impacting the outcome of this.
If I may, it's a move.
Not yet, sir.
Oh, I apologize.
So they'll let them say
Okay.
whatever they want. Once they're done, they can't interrupt you.
I apologize. I was just going to say it's a moot point because it's already been ruled on. There's an appellate court ruling that a farm can be blighted. It was Rockville versus.
I understand.
Okay.
We're just
So I'd
waiting-
stipulate
I just
to it
wanna
to save
hear-
you. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Sorry.
Okay, Jim Wendt, I'm assuming there's a record here for
Yeah.
The zoning enforcement officer, Matt Decker, sent an order to comply, citing several zoning violations on May 13th of this year. The issues that we had at that time were some unregistered vehicles and trailers on the property. Again, similarly citing, as Sands just mentioned, the unscreened accumulation of materials that are out there in the two large storage containers. We had some correspondence, email correspondence. Mr. Taylor sent me an email, or the office an email that I was copied on, discussing his plan to be a farm. I responded to him, and we've had a couple of emails that I thought it was going to be a difficult process because our zoning regulations define a farm as at least 5 acres, a parcel of at least 5 acres used for gain and raising of agricultural products, livestock, or dairy products. The combined area of the two properties, 373 and 377 cross highways, less than 5 acres. There's another property that's on the other side of the street. There's a private road right of way.
There's 3 properties that.
The third property is 361 cross highway, I believe.
Yeah.
It's in common ownership.
Yeah.
But it's not contiguous to the other 2 parcels. So
Okay.
our definition of lot area requires that parcels be contiguous in order to count. So it was our position that this was a couple weeks ago, on June 2nd, I sent an email to Mr. Taylor saying that it was our opinion that I don't believe he's got the 5 acres of continuous land to be able to qualify for a farm. It's also my understanding that an application was made to the tax assessor for farm tax classification, which was denied. So,
I'm sorry.
so I don't have any, and Mr. Taylor, I'm sure will articulate his future plans, but and we had an email exchange about that, and I did have a conversation with Attorney Chris
Yes.
Russo, about our issue of that third parcel not being contiguous, being problematic in terms of the minimum lot size.
Without that third parcel, what's the lot size on the two that are contiguous? Are they almost 5?
It's 4 and change. I think each of those lots are 2 acres.
Thereabouts.
So it's
Okay.
it's greater than 4, but less than 5.
Right. Okay. Is there anything zoning-wise that would need to be done to make it a farm? Is there something that's filed with the zoning office? How does that happen?
Well, we would need in past applications, we've received a site plan showing what's intended to be done on the property, what crops are proposed to be planted or what animals are proposed to be raised on the property. We haven't really delved into that to any great depth since our email exchange earlier this month. All that said, it's my opinion that I question the relevance of any of this material to establishing a farm, because it's not traditional farming material. It looks like building supplies. I will say that I think I visited the site today in anticipation of this meeting, and I think several of the vehicles that I think we had cited in this notice have been removed. I did not see the piece of equipment that I erroneously referred to in an email exchange with Mr. Taylor as a milling machine, but that machine seemed to not be on the property when I was there today. There were still several trailers, the 2 storage containers in the piles of material. So again, we would consider that to be a zoning violation as we cited in the May 2021. And I have copies here for you.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Material.
Thank you.
And so in conclusion, I would say, our citation was issued and the majority of the issues, the materials stockpiled there, we believe meet the criteria for blight. The property is not a farm currently, and we feel the citation that was issued was valid, that this exceeds what would be allowable on the property, and we would ask that the citation be upheld, and we would look for compliance with the town's with the blight ordinance and with the town's zoning regulations to fulfill the compliance of this. And again, I would note that the vehicles that are cited in the letter that we sent are no longer on the property.
Okay.
And that will conclude with that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Hearing Officer, first let me start by apologizing to everybody. I apologize for taking up your valuable time. You guys do a fabulous time running the town. And a little foreground to this. The items on that property were never mine. The only thing that are actually mine on there is one trailer and the pressure-treated posts that have a value of about $52,000. That was property, as Mr. Wint will tell you, was past my father's. I'm sure you're aware. We don't need to delve into the situation there. I inherited it, for lack of a better term, with everything on it except the trailer that I put there that has hand tools in it that is on a trailer, which is registered. All the trailers were registered except one, which I believed wholeheartedly was registered. It is now registered. To touch point, Director Wentz, he identified a milling machine. I told him it would be removed. I'm a man of my word. I removed it instantly. What my issue is when I got the original notice late, our Supreme Court has ruled that, pardon me, I apologize, I should shut this off, that registered is presumed gotten. I didn't receive it till the day after. I immediately got in touch with Fire Marshal Higgins through several phone calls and emails. He was busy. He got back to me. I sent him an email. On Wednesday, February 3rd, Fire Marshal Higgins, I left 2 messages with your office, 1 voicemail and 1 with your administrative assistant. Unfortunately, I have not received a call back. I called to address notice 1079. I received the notice the day after the hearing. The notice offers no contact information or appeal process. May I schedule an appointment with you for a phone conversation or a site visit? I would like to rectify this situation at the earliest convenience and come into compliance with your office. I did have a phone conversation with the Fire Marshal. Very informative. The notice I received states that excessive amounts of garbage or trash are on the property. Unoperative or unregistered motor vehicles or inappropriate boats parked and kept. At first glance, none of those exist. I'm in a waste. I'm a certified DEP transfer station operator. So I instantly went to the blight ordinance for a definition of trash or garbage. There was no such. So I went to the Fairfield Public Waste manual for the transfer station and got a definition of garbage. Bear with me, exhibit, sir. I went to the town solid waste and recycling regulations to look for what Fairfield presumed the definition of garbage would be. Garbage means perceptible acceptable solid waste, ASW, the animal and vegetable solid waste resulting from handling, preparation, cooking, serving, or non-consumption of food. None of that existed. During my conversation with Fire Marshal Higgins, he said there was a couple of pallets, some miscellaneous garbage. I instant in some tires, and I said, well, there's 2 truck tires that I keep as spare. They're way in the back. I don't think anybody could see them if they had to. I instantly dispatched a crew to go up and pick up anything that would have been remotely identifiable in this notice to come into full compliance with this board. My crew went and did so. In the internal, I had a shoulder replacement, which has put me down. We had a COVID pandemic, which has held everybody up. So in the midst of a surgery and a pandemic, I still responded appropriately with due diligence. So I talked to the Fire Marshal. I said I would get, the tires, any of the little garbage stuff cleaned up immediately, which I did so. That was completed. The items that are there, I then went on to request from the Director Cleary on April 13th, I sent Director Cleary a letter. Director Cleary, today's mail I received a blight follow-up later dated March 11th, 2021. It is our intent to exercise every effort to comply with the Town of Fairfield's regulations. In an effort to comply, may I request a site visit? I would appreciate the opportunity to provide a detailed explanation of the items present on site, their value to the site for future use in farming operations. During the site visits, I may seek input from the blight representative for alternative resolutions. May I suggest organizing certain items in a central location with privacy screening such as plantings, fence, etc. Out of sight, out of mind, as the saying goes. The Huntington Company was retained in December of 2020 to provide an A2 survey for 361 Cross Highway. This was to be completed in January of 2021, and to date it is not complete. The Huntington Company is holding up my wetlands declaratory ruling application. The A2 for 373 and 377 are complete. Once I receive a declaratory ruling, there will be no more blight. Please note all trailers on site are registered excluding the Dynaweld yellow 20-ton with the milled lumber from trees on site. I have DMV appointment for registration. I sent the supporting documents to Director Cleary. I never received a correspondence back to arrange for a site visit to address the items at hand. So there are items on it. I mean, I can't sit here and say that property's been an eyesore since I was a kid. It was the O'Hara's farm. Chip O'Hara ran O'Hara's asphalt out of there. Frank Dahlwood had equipment parked there. I think Director Wendt could testify to that. I have a deposition from Brian O'Hara when I sued one of the neighbors that for 70 years heavy equipment's been parked down there. The place has been a junkyard, for lack of a better term, since the 30s.
Are you going to ask those questions of Mr.?
No, it's just general statement to the hearing officer to let you know the background of this. So the items.
Well, let me just stop you there.
Okay.
Because you just made a statement that would be considered hearsay. If you want, I'm going to need.
Are we going by the rules of the practice book?
A little bit, only
Okay.
for this. Let me do it this. I'll make it simple.
Certainly.
Is this new or has this stuff been there for a long time?
Well, it's from my perspective, it's new material. When the O'Haras owned the property, Mr. Taylor's correct. There is past history that the O'Haras parked asphalt trucks and other commercial equipment in which several years ago, I don't know the dates exactly, on an enforcement issue, we were enjoined by a neighbor who was represented by Attorney Joel Green. We had a court proceeding, and the court ruled that there was a zoning violation, and the O'Haras subsequently removed all the commercial equipment from the property. That was prior to
Sure.
Mr. Taylor's father, I believe.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Purchased the property from the O'Haras, but as far as my recollection is concerned, that the O'Hara material had all been removed prior to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay.
So the items that were there that I inherited were the crane mats. And the crane mats, first, is the hearing officer aware that that's all wetlands? At most everything is there either wetlands or in the regulated area. The items stacked up are crane mats. Those are the pieces of wood, if you see here, down. It's the least intrusive way through the wetlands. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers acknowledges that crane mats are the least intrusive ways through the wetlands, along with the following soil scientists: Stephen Danzer, Otto Thiel, and that were the only two that I called that agreed the crane mats were the least intrusive to get through the wetlands. So during any farming operation or anything I tended to do, those were there when I inherited the property.
These things?
No.
No.
Those are mats. Those are stabilizer mats. If you were to put the outriggers down, they go on top of the crane mats. The crane mats are the large wooden things.
Okay.
You'll see. Things? No, those are actual timbers that were milled from the trees that were cut down on a property. A sawmill was brought in, and any tree that was cut, those right there, those are crane mats.
These are crane mats?
Yes, those are crane mats.
If you look to the picture next
They're like
to
the
it,
railroad ties.
here,
Yeah.
that's that right
That's
there.
that,
So
okay.
this is constructed of these laid
Of those.
down.
Yeah. In lay terms, they would look like railroad ties bolted together.
Bolted together.
And what they do is they put an equal distribution of weight, ground pounds per square inch, so they don't affect the roots of the wetland soil.
Gotcha.
Undoubtedly, the least intrusive way to get through the wetlands.
Okay.
That's what they were there for, which I inherited and intended to use when I started the farming operation, so I did not have to build a road that was crucial to the farm.
Have you gone before the wetlands, inland wetlands, or conservation to get a ruling that it is a farm that gives you as of right determination?
I have not, but statutorily it is by way of right. You can farm and graze, and I'm not here to debate that now.
No. Okay.
I have retained a soil scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Spath, who was supposed to contact Mr. Cleary, I don't know if he did, is in the process of doing the final drawings of where the fence was going to go. End result is, I'm not here to be a thorn in anybody's side. This all stems from adverse possession claim against Lisa Polner at 365 Cross Highway that They lived next to it. They were friends with my father. The stuff has been there. The only thing I brought in that is mine is the trailer and a pressure-treated 6x6s that I paid $80 a piece for to put fencing around the whole place, which was my ultimate goal to do. This has gone way far deeper than I ever wanted it to go. If I was healthy at the time, we didn't have the pandemic, we wouldn't be here. It would have instantly got rectified. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I've acted in good faith. I've asked for the town's assistance in, hey, what can we do to get this off the hot seat? I realize you guys all have to answer to people, and I wanted to comply. Unfortunately, I didn't get the services that I was looking for or the guidance that I needed to do so, and I make no excuses for that. But when receiving that and the trailers were registered and you identify it as garbage and trash, me not being able, and if I went to if you go to the CGS 246 motor vehicle code, in definitions, it depicts what a trailer is, what a motor vehicle is. Everything was registered. If you move on to Webster's Dictionary, which the common individual uses, the definition of trash, something worth little or nothing.
Right.
So,
I'm going to ask one real quick question
Sure.
here, Mr. Wendt. These trailer things, these container things, does Fairfield have anything like a shed permit or anything along those lines where if they're within a setback and they have a permit, they're okay? Do you have any?
We do. The
Okay.
issue for us with respect to the presence of those containers in the trailers is not a question of whether they're registered or not. They're permitted accessory structures
Yep.
if they meet certain setback requirements.
Right.
But in order to qualify as an accessory structure, there needs to be a permitted primary use occurring on the property, which is not the case here.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. And that gets us back to your argument that it's a farm and you can do what you want as of right.
well, not entirely. I wasn't here to debate zoning today. I wasn't prepared to do that.
Sure,
So
no problem.
I don't want to intersect. No offense to anybody. I was just want to address the blight problems and get compliant and then go in and put the proper applications into Mr. Wendt's office. I want to do it right. Ultimately, what I'm looking to leave here today was with a strategic plan devised by everybody here with the abatements of the fines so I can start coming into compliance and removing the stuff that is the subject matter of the complaint, not just a one-page that says
I gotcha.
trash and litter.
Did you, and I know we're talking here, but you now agree Putty Muddle LLC has received this May 13th, 2021?
Yes, sir. Putty Muddle has received
zoning
everything from the town.
From the town, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's all right. I think I'm done.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a ruling,
Okay.
okay? I think this is more appropriate as a zoning issue as opposed to a blight issue. And I think this is a bigger problem for you.
Absolutely.
This one is. I understand what the blight board tried to do, the condemnation board tried to do, but I think Mr. Taylor may have proved his case in saying that this isn't really debris. This is a little bit bigger than that stuff. So this is more of a zoning issue, and he's not complying with zoning.
Correct.
And you need to, if you're going to assert a farm, you got to go through the wetlands, through zoning, or
Absolutely.
all of that stuff. But this is, let's put it like a little fire, call it, right? This whole thing.
Yep.
But this is a small reprieve. I think you need to do what you have to do, and if you're going to get Attorney Russo involved or Rizzio, get them involved sooner rather than later. Maybe call him to get him back here from Montana. His fishing should be done, all right? So,
Mr. Hearing Officer, Attorney Thomas, I appreciate that, and I will work. If you ask Mr. Wendt, I told him something was removed. It was removed, correct, Mr. Wendt?
well, now you have to do more. Okay?
Listen, I'm happy to do it. What is permissible to be parked there?
That's not here. I'm
Okay,
here for
all right,
simply
okay.
whether or not.
Do you have time afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay. They're trying to.
You're a good guy. No, it's not personal. I want to work with you. Listen,
But
if I wasn't hurt, we'd have the pandemic.
in a round hole kind of thing here.
My life
But
story, Attorney.
This one is the right one.
Absolutely.
And this one's a lot more because
Sure.
I saw this and it identifies
Absolutely.
trailers, machines, storage containers, lumber. That's
Can't
where
argue it. It's
where can't
100%
be.
correct. You're exactly
It's
right.
It's not. I saw the basket. If the basketballs were removed, then he complied. I mean, So, that's it. I will, I guess, dismiss this one, but,
Can they remove the title?
there's, how does that work? Is there a fine from April till now?
No,
Or no,
as
if I
we've been
dismiss?
doing, we've been waiting, because of COVID, we've been waiting
We've been
for
waiting?
the
Okay.
hearing to occur for.
So I would have,
for any-
if I had granted it, would have gone forward from here. So that's it, we're done. Do you need a written decision from me or anything?
We probably will
Yeah.
for our record,
Okay.
for,
Can I keep these?
sure, for the complainant, so we can justify that.
Why?
Our case essentially was
Yes,
was-
I will do that.
voided and in deference to the zoning
Uh,
enforcement action.
That helps, but this is the real one,
Do you have my direct attention?
Okay, very good. So I need to close the hearing now? So,
If you've made your ruling,
yep,
then.
I've
yep.
made my ruling, and that I'll have a written decision sent to the condemnation board or the health department. It'll stay here. But I also would suggest you really get it
And I'm
going,
done here.
because this is just one part of the town boards that now have kind of,
I'm not looking to make any enemies.
okay, very good.
Meet with Mr. Wen.
So pursuant to, I think, Town Ordinance Section 51, the statutes allow me to find in favor of the defendant, and he was able to prove his case, and there's no violation. This meeting now at 4 o'clock is over.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry to take up your time because I have much better stuff to do. I apologize. It won't happen again.
We need to stop that.
Do you have 20?